Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of Check Your Minimap podcast. I'm your host, Threshold Breaker, but you can call me THB, and I'm joined by Ansem.
Hey guys.
Unfortunately, Blackout could not make it for this podcast. Today we'll be talking about some topics related to Battlefield 4 and the Battlefield Hardline. Specifically, night maps in CTE, competitive play in Hardline, and Blood Money, which is a new game mode in Hardline. So let's kind of kick things off here and get into the night maps in CTE.
I think we should probably start with Zavad and that moon. Oh my god, that bright moon. I mean, I know they fixed it. CTE patch 31, 32, they redesigned it. That thing was OP.
Yeah, I mean they really did a crazy job on trying to reform it. They toned it down. They call it God Rays or something like that to that extent.
Yep, it was God Race. Ridiculous name, but I love it.
I mean, also the Zavad doesn't have a name yet. I mean, they changed Siege of Shanghai into Infiltration of Shanghai, so I'm kind of interested to see like what route they're gonna take with Zavad.
Yeah, I know that on the patch notes it does say that they are looking for a name for both Zavad and Old Mud Railways. As far as bugs on Zavad, the only ones that I know of is the ceiling in the tunnel from C and D. They phase out a little bit, but I don't know if they fixed that one. It wasn't in the CTE patch notes in 31 and 32. Have you seen that glitch, Thresh?
No, I haven't come across that glitch. One of the things that I was dealing with that I noticed was the air vehicles seem to be very OP in Zavad. They're without 3D spotting, these things are pretty messed up. They can take you out, and you really have to be on your A game. Like you have to listen to where the helicopter sound is coming from.
Yeah, I saw that basically as soon as you give them one of the dark, like urban paint jobs, they just disappear in the night. You only see them if they happen to fly in front of the moon from your perspective.
Yeah, well, the fog also gave them the advantage.
Yeah, I also noticed that there's no real fog in the air, but because there's no 3D spotting and because you need to black out your helicopters. You got to take advantage of the fact that it's nighttime. But they don't really notice each other so much. Unless
Yeah.
you happen to have the lock-on missiles on your copter, trying to find the enemy helicopter to fight him is really hard.
Yeah, they what they tried to do with the patch 31 and 32, I think one of the notes that I was going over was specifically they were trying to meld that together so that it was a better balance. The fog and the lighting, the ambient lighting.
With the fog's density seems a little interesting, and I'm not completely sure I agree with how they did the fog. Like, I accept the fog, and I think the fog is a great layer to basically make it so that when you're in the night and you have no light, you're at close quarter combat. That's what the fog basically makes you do. But even when you do have light, you're still at close quarter combat. I think they should have varying degrees of fog, so that at 50 meters the fog is so dense, at 100 meters it's more dense, at 200 meters it's so dense you can't even see through it. That way,
Yeah, but then you're gonna have everybody like say if they did the fog in the fields on Goldmund Railway, right? To give soldiers the benefit of the doubt of running in an open space, you're gonna have people just camping prone with flares, waiting for the unsuspecting victim to walk across like the minefield, so to speak,
well,
in the
without
angles.
thermals, you run into that already. I've seen
No,
many.
no, not necessarily. I've taken people out with a Cobra sight with that, and they've had flares. Aren't the end all be all, or excuse me, thermal scopes in general aren't the end all be all on night maps, which is a good thing. It shows that they were thinking ahead. They're like, oh god, we're making night maps. We can't just make it about infrareds and flares.
I do like the fact that they did at least give spots where you can excel with these optics so that they have a purpose again. If you shoot all the lights out in some of, let's say, on Golmud, what is it, the AB point up top in the city? You
Yeah.
shoot the lights out in one of those buildings and it's pitch black in there.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
a scope or a flare is the night vision scope or a flare is the only way you can find somebody in that darkness.
Yeah, they did the same kind of thing under the bridges, the connecting bridges and the infiltration of Shanghai. Physically under that bridge, like the pedestrian walkway under the bridge, like that's pitch black. And that's an area where you would excel with a FLIR or a night vision scope.
I also like that they have done a very good. I mean, they're still patching it, they're still working on it, so everything's on 100%. But it seems like they found a very nice balance to the different objectives in Conquest Large. Like some you have darker, some are bright as day because there's so much lighting. Basically, you can pick which points you want to fight with. Do you want to fight with the ones that's bright, or do you want to fight with the ones that have a little bit of darkness that you can hide in?
Yeah, I mean that's true about it. That's creating good Battlefield experiences, reinventing the maps, creating different, I call them different nodes of experience, and allowing people to have a distinct gameplay through their different play style. So, I mean, we kind of went back and forth on gold mods, VODs, infiltration of Shanghai. What, if any, maps would you like to see kind of become night mode maps?
I know that we were talking about this as we were doing our research and all this stuff, and we've got a couple ideas, and we have somewhat similar ideas. I think that I want to go ahead and talk about the one that I think we both really, really wanted to see, which was propaganda.
Yeah, that was definitely one I wanted to see, for sure. I just think you can do so much on it. Like, the monument can be well lit, the streets can be dark or partially lit, depending what route you want to take on that, because it is an open space, so in my opinion, it is an urban area, so it will have street lights or generator lights. If I was the level designer, I'd kind of lean towards making it partially lit so that people can't just get picked off running across the street, so that you have a different gameplay style versus the day map. The alleyway, the main alleyway that runs parallel but to the right of C Point, if you're Conquest game mode and you're going towards C Point, I'd like to see that alleyway like have ground lighting, not wall lighting, but ground lighting, because in my opinion, if you have wall or overhead lighting, any area that you need to shoot up into, you're going to be completely blinded.
Oh yeah, there's the building that overlooks it, and people like to rain death from above with that one. If there's overhead lighting, that's going to give them the advantage to the extreme.
Yeah.
And make it impossible to go down there and not get picked off as some guy camping up there with a flare or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see, because you are going to have those guys who hide behind the walls after C Point that'll be in the bushes with a bipod and an MG4 or any other LMG that they can just cook people with. But I mean, overall, I think it would be a very, very nice looking map. And then, of course, you have B and D points off to the further extent of the map, where you can really light up the buildings. I mean, that entire area is destructible, so it'd be interesting to see how the lighting would work with the destruction of the map in that area.
Also, the really great part is those buildings are not standard Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3 buildings where you just pop the walls and the ceiling stays until it drops. Those are old Bad Company 2 ones where the ceiling pops in sections as you take out certain walls. So you don't have to destroy the entire building to take out a light. You just have to destroy the right wall that will remove that section of the ceiling. So you could darken that entire area but still leave the walls, so that you're having to check around walls in the dark every single time. You can't push aggressively and quickly. You do have to do your check by the numbers, check that corner, check that door, check that window. I mean, it could become very tactical to move back and forth. And at the same time, all you gotta do is grab a hand flare and light that place right back up. Kill anybody's like MG4 bipod with a flare. I think that B would be more of a fun battlefield to play on than, say, D. D's kind of it's two buildings, and they're not a big open space. They're really tight together. Sorry, no, that's Bravo. And Delta has the two buildings, but they're in like an L shape, and you have the entire open spot where the containers are for the flag. I think that you're going to get a lot of crossfire shots from the windows. Those buildings would have lights that would stay until the buildings drop. So until then, the people in the buildings that are trying to keep the point capped are going to be at a disadvantage because they're in the light.
Yeah, you're always going to have those situations where you're going to be less effective if you're in a well-lit room and you're going down and you're looking out and you can't see through that darkness except maybe the generator light that's by the containers that we were talking about where the flag point is. The other thing I'd love to see on that map is just straight up the train. Like if somebody popped the gas tanks on the train.
That would be a great fireworks show, basically, because that's what it is at that point. I also think it'd be great because, you're trying to go along and be stealthy and hide in the containers and stuff like that, and all of a sudden the train comes by with those front headlights just lighting up the entire area into daylight. All of a sudden your stealth's gone because you picked the wrong time to cross the street.
Yeah, you're exposed completely. You have no way of getting out. I mean, I think the street in general is going to be well lit because you have the moonlight, which we know is OP. They've toned it down, obviously, but we know it's an insane feature in the night mode map. But it should be. There is a thing called lunar light. I mean,
Oh yeah, and people do use that when you're trying to attack an objective in real life. You have to take the moon into consideration when you're doing a night attack. You have to decide, do you want to do a new moon so you can go full night vision goggles and take by stealth, or do you want to do it during the full moon because you really have no idea what the hell's going on and you want as much visibility as possible. So I think as long as they balance the moon compared to all the lights, will make the destruction of the lights useful or not useful.
Yeah.
I know that another map that we were talking about, and I like it a little bit, but at the same time, I don't know, would be Caspian Border. I think there's a lot of potential in that map, but I think that there's also, if you don't do it just right, even by a little, it could go real bad.
Yeah, some of the things I'm thinking about is, the point at C, the high point at D. There's different elements of that can be very functional. And then there's other areas where it's just going to be like, a C point. You can have, one of my thoughts was to make the C point like where you have lights shooting out so that approaching attackers would be blinded to the person who's defending or possibly in C point. Now, the way in which they could approach those individuals is just going high side on the rocks on C, or, infiltrating through the back and then going on the high side again so that they can physically see into the C point. That'd just be, a negative effect because that whole C point is surrounded by a forest area. It shouldn't be generated, street lamp light in the middle of the forest so people can have a firefight.
Yeah, I think that if they balance it by going ahead and having the lights pointed outward so that whoever's literally in this little tiny dugout in the bottom of the map, basically, they're as low as you get. Everybody that attacks you is coming from basically the high side unless you're coming that one river path. You need a little bit of help defending that point, and I think if they point the lights outward, it will help them. On the inverse, though, I think that the D up on the hill needs to have all of its light pointed towards the center so the people that are trying to fight their way up that hill have the darkness to help them, and the people that are holding the flag have a disadvantage because they have the high ground.
Yeah, I can see the balance in that. That makes sense. It's kind of the exact opposite of C point, yeah. All right, guys, so we're going to transfer into Battlefield Hardline right now. So the first thing is, what is Rescue Game Mode? What I found it to be, it's a new mode presented in Battlefield Hardline franchise. You play as the cops or the robbers, but as the cops, you're supposed to get in, grab the hostage, and get the hell out. The criminals obviously have to stop that, right?
Yeah.
The game operates on a single elimination factor. This was kind of interesting to me, right? You basically meaning if you get shot and you're killed, that is it.
Well, you can be technically, if I remember right, they did say you can be defibrillated, but if you are the scout, you're up front and you got nobody covering your butt, and even if you do, the firefights can be so intense because it is that life or death that maybe you don't get revived. Maybe that is your only life.
But that means to me, if you're a five-person team, you're gonna go for that person, and that is your priority. You're taking that person out first so that they cannot pop a revive for their teammates.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
granted,
I
you
would
can take
totally...
you can take the person's kit.
At the same time, that's another tactic. Drop the medic, watch his kit, wait for somebody to come pick up that kit because he got dropped, and take that guy out too.
Right. It's like, you're baiting somebody in. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be very interesting to see, what kind of strategies people come up with in this 5v5 gameplay type. I mean, this is clearly, this is built for competitive play in the premium package of Hardline.
You can play it outside of premium as well. I really like one of the features they built in is that the map remembers what you do from moment to moment, because everybody gets their chance to play both sides, and you go, I believe it's 9 rounds in total, so that it's an odd number. You can't stalemate. You get your 5 chances, and the entire time the map remembers every micro destruction you do. You blow a hole in a wall, the map remembers that. It doesn't change. So if you go into somewhere and you know it's going to be noisy and it might not work this time, you blow open a wall. Maybe you don't use that. Maybe you sneak around another way. But next round, you don't need to blow open the wall. You can sneak right on through there as quiet as can be.
That is a cool feature that I was looking at. I thought that was really, really interesting to see that they went that far to think it through so that people didn't have to breach bang clear, so to speak.
Yeah. One thing, though, I think is a little interesting is that you cannot kill a hostage. The hostage has no hitbox. So you can't kill them at all. You can't do any damage, nothing like that.
Even when you tell them to like come with you, that's not. They
No,
don't.
you throw them over your shoulder and run off with them.
Okay.
It also doesn't slow the player down who's carrying. The person that grabs this person, so you walk up and you interact with this person, and they disappear to you. But everyone that's looking at you, you have them hung over your shoulder and you're running off with them. This doesn't slow you down. This isn't an additional hitbox that you can take damage from. It's just a graphic on your character. I think that the hostage should play more of a role. If you're trying to stop the cop that's running away with your hostage and you just go full auto and just blast the whole entire area that he's standing in with hip fire, if you shot the hostage, you'd be screwed. Because now you have one less hostage.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why they didn't give a hostage a hitbox for that, like that specific reason. Like you're trying to go in there and, by accident you shoot a hostage. That should be a thing. Like accidentally you fail. It's weird that they have no hitbox. There's two of them.
And
so
you
like
only need to rescue one.
And you only need to rescue one, yeah. So that like in my head I'm like, okay, they gave them two of them, so that you could go and save either or, divide and conquer, or just go with one big force and strike at the enemy's team, if you were the cops.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it difficult for the criminals. Do you focus on one and hope to God they don't go for the other one? Do you split up and have most of your team just like standing in between them so that as soon as one hostage is grabbed, they immediately pull to the other side? Like, that makes it more complex, and I can understand that, but I just can't understand why they basically made the hostage become irrelevant. Like, the hostage is irrelevant. You might as well go pick up a box.
Yeah, it's like, get the package or something like that and bring back the package. Except in this sense, the package doesn't mean the person that you're trying to rescue.
Yeah, I mean, with no liability to the hostages. I mean, if a cop shot a hostage, I think that cop should be insta-killed. Yeah. If you accidentally kill a hostage, maybe actually they could penalize you so much as you lose. If you actually like grenade the hostage, you lose.
Yeah.
That's it. You're cops. You can't kill hostages. That's not allowed.
It's true. I mean, I think really what you're gonna see here is, the enemy team, and by enemy team in this case, I'm playing the role as the police officer, and the enemy team is the criminal. I'm trying to go in and get the hostage. I think you're gonna see some, very interesting things. The trip mines, the decoys, people using zip lines to maybe extract the hostage. I don't know if that's a feature, if you can actually carry the hostage on your shoulder as you use the zip line. That'd be pretty cool.
To my understanding, the way that I have seen all of it, because I didn't get to play the game mode, but from everything that I've watched, you're not encumbered in any way, which means you can play completely as you have the entire time, even though you have a hostage on your shoulder. You don't get forced into pistol mode. You don't move slower. You don't, as far as I know, you don't get restricted from zip lines. So you grab a hostage, you run outside, you climb up on you have both the zip line and the grappling hook. You climb up on a thing and you zip line out to the extraction point. Voila, bang, you're done.
Yeah, that's probably going to need some tweaking, I would think.
I'm assuming that they're going to leave it for the other team needs to be on point and prevent that. I think they're going to leave it like that.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like it's going to wind up, no matter what, every map's going to get some tweaking. Every game mode's going to have some tweaking because, it's people are going to find exploits. People are going to find, cheap ways to kind of do things. So then they're going to have to retool the maps. It's, in my opinion, it's what happens with every multiplayer kind of game.
Yeah. Actually, that leads me into a great part of Crosshair, where it's VIP escort. So you got 4 cops and 1 VIP. And then 5 criminals that are trying to kill them. If you kill all the cops or the VIP, you win. If all the criminals get killed, you win. Or if you get to the VIP to the extraction point on, I believe it's the Everglade, the VIP can get to the extraction point in about 8 seconds at a dead run. As long as the cops go out and distract the criminals and you've got a VIP that knows the map.
Well, that's a good point, too. You should also get to the fact that you can be chosen to be the VIP.
The VIP is a rotation base. You play, I think the Crosshair is actually 10 rounds. And you have each member of your team takes a turn as the VIP, and then you swap sides. Each member takes a chance. And that's how they do that.
And you get your weapon called the Bald Eagle.
The golden.
It's called the Bald Eagle. I'm not even lying. That's the name for it.
Oh, no, I know. I just love the fact that it's gold. I mean, It's nice because you're limiting the VIP, so he is vulnerable, but he does have the firepower that if he sneaks up behind you, he can cap.
Yep, that's what I like to. And also, some of the research I were doing. They were mentioning something like you can actually open a case and give your teammate. I don't know if you can specifically use it. This is where I was trying to dig a little deeper here and figure out, as the VIP, are you only limited to those weapons, or can you actually pick up like a field kit? Like if one of your buddies gets taken out, could you pick up the field kit and defend yourself?
I also dug very deep, very hard. I spent quite a considerable amount of my research time trying to dig deep enough in to find this out. And I'm stuck with assuming because I couldn't find any information because nobody talks about it. Like, they talk about Crosshair, they talk about how the game was, they talk about how their experience was, but they don't talk about the limitations of the VIP and if they are set in stone. Because
Right.
the VIP has the ability to open a weapons cache and give LMGs to his team.
That's exactly what I was gonna go. That's exactly what I was gonna talk about. It specifically says to his team, but I'm kind of playing role reversal and saying, if his teammate gets shot, is he able to defend himself, or is he just straight up stuck with the pistol?
Like I said, I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure they most likely made it so that he's stuck with the pistol and that's all he gets no matter what. You can't change the gun. I don't know if you can maybe pick up the kit so that you can get the medic kit and so you can revive your teammates. I know that you get to pick your kit in your loadout screen and then you're the VIP and you just get the pistol. So maybe you still have your medic kit. Maybe you still have your grenade. I don't know. I haven't been able to really get the information to define the VIP properly. Because, I mean, we also only have had so much information about it because it's been under embargo for forever.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see with the VIP what that specific role develops into. Like, is he able to get different gadgets and different weaponry to that extent? We don't know. We're just kind of speculating. I would assume that he's going to be able to get just more than the pistol. Maybe it'll be a variation of pistols and some gadgets.
I really think that if he doesn't get gadgets, it's going to be unfair because I think that one of the best VIP loadouts, like, you're going to be VIP. I think that you find out you're going to be VIP right away, so that you can change your class accordingly. And if you go and you get your flak jacket and your gas mask as a VIP, you're now covered in every which way you could possibly want to be covered.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think they should make him the hardest thing to kill on the battlefield. I really do, because and by that I mean that he should have different defensive perks. He has that quick unspotting feature. The perk. You spot him and then he disappears pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if that is a perk that is auto locked to him or a perk that you have to like assign him. I'm assuming that it's auto unlocked, it's automatically in there. And it begs the question, can you get the other perk set? I mean, I know there's 5 guys on the other team, but if you manage to, shoot one of them, you get your health.
You mean like your unlock perk? Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, like you unlock perks as you go. And what would constitute you unlocking those perks? Is it distance towards the extraction point? Do you get more perks based on the distance that you run, or do you have to kill people?
If it's just kill people, I'd be fine with that. I'm not necessarily saying, he should have just instantly all perks. I'm saying that he should have to at least work for it. I think that that's a reasonable thing. But, like,
Yeah.
if you're the professional, you have the sneak ability that you can unlock, which allows you to open doors and move around quieter and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That would be a great perk if you want to go the full stealth way.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how they work this game mode. Is it going to be an area of checkpoints, whereas the checkpoints give players bonus points to get those, the field perks as we're talking about them? They're your standard perks, but they unlock as the game progresses and as you gain points. How long you live depends on how many perks you get. I don't know if they stay with you through death. I'm not entirely sure on that.
I would assume not. I would assume that it's the same way as all the other game modes. When you die, your perks would get reset. But maybe not, because the map remembers, which means that it's basically like a respawn in actuality, not a brand new game.
Right.
So maybe, the VIP tries and fails. But the entire time, you're unlocking all these perks, and so your bodyguards, your cops, are getting better and better, having a better chance of making the VIP to the extraction point.
Yeah.
I think
All
that
right.
that's a great idea if that is how it works, and I think it actually needs to work that way so that Yeah, okay, the first one's going to be a little weird because you don't necessarily know what the enemy's plans are. But as you go through, it's a little easier so that you're not going 5-0 or 0-5. Like, you have a chance to at least get, one or two.
I think it would be, kind of when we're going along the lines of like checkpoints and like you push to the next the next checkpoint. I think it would be cool if the VIP got outfitted with like more body armor or something like that that makes him tougher. Like in the beginning, he might be kind of easy to kill without a good escort, but as time progresses, he gets harder to take out, even if you manage to take out the police surrounding him.
Yeah, because as far as I know, even if you kill all four cops and the VIP is still loose, you're not winning yet. You have to go find that VIP.
Right. So let's kind of get into Blood Money, which is another game mode in the Battlefield Hardline series. Now, for those of you who don't know what Blood Money is, it's neither team has money in their vault at the start of the game. Some of the best ways to really hurt the enemy team is to have a bunch of your buddies grab a lot of money at once and try to run it back to their vault. Also, by stealing the money at the same time, you increase the rate at which you steal the money. If you manage to get a satellite phone near the main money pile, you'll be back in the green, so to speak, as you spawn on that if you're taken out. You can also be a little bit, mischievous as you drop a sabotage on your own vault to surprise the enemy team if he's trying to steal your money. So some of the parts like I really like when it comes down to it, I love the tug-of-war aspect. Talking about stealing money and then sabotaging your own money pile to defend your money pile. It's a fun tug-of-war aspect to a game. It's different. It's something I haven't played in a while.
Yeah, no, I mean, the closest game mode that I can compare it to was Chain Link, and it's not quite Chain Link. It's got more to it, because you can literally screw the other team over by going and stealing directly from their vault. And yeah, if they sabotage it, the first guy might die, but you can get 5 guys on that thing and start drawing all of their money out.
Right. And you can also take the trip mines away.
I don't.
And take them out.
Take the sabotage off of theirs?
Yeah, I mean, you can't take C4 off, but you can take the trip laser mines off.
I'm assuming you can also just grenade their vault and call it good. So, just some thoughts for you guys when you're going up and you see the little red light blinking under the armor truck. At the sabotage, need to deal with that. I believe that the engineer can take it off with his repair torch, but I don't remember for sure. If you happen to spot C4, grenade. If you see the laser trip mine, you can take it off. I believe it's interact key. So I'm going to ask, because you've gotten to play it. I did not, unfortunately, join in when Blood Money. Because Blood Money was the game of choice, basically, for everybody that played the original release.
The alpha?
Yeah, the alpha.
The alpha, yeah.
I was unfortunately unable to play the alpha at the time, but Blood Money was in that. We didn't get it in the beta, but it was in the alpha.
Everybody's like, we didn't get it in the beta.
Oh, yeah, no. I know a lot of people were upset because they loved that game mode. And from everything I saw, it was beautiful. I mean, I really dug deep. I've watched everything. I've been tracking Blood Money for a while because I think that is probably the new Rush for me, because Rush was my thing back in the day.
It's funny that people call it Rush. It's like a tug of war, but like you don't blow anything up. It's like it's funny because people call it Rush, and like Rush in the traditional sense is you go to an MCOM, you blow it up. I can see where you're trying to draw parallels to that. That makes sense to me. But yeah, it's a rush, to put it in that way, because you're doing this back and forth, and you got to check your angles, and you're going back. Like Downtown was a great level for that. That was just a lot of fun because the criminals vault was. No, sorry. There was a vault in the basement of a parking garage, and then on the exact opposite, it was actually in another parking garage. The one of the parking garages on the criminal side had elevators going to the bottom of it, so you could kind of take the elevators and drop in where people would put trip mines or laser mines, if you will, on the doorways of the elevators, or as you proceeded to go out, and they would try to sabotage. I mean, I know I'm guilty of putting C4 or trip laser mine on the truck, so whoever kind of came towards it wouldn't even see it coming. They'd go to stick their hand in, and then they would go, they'd just get taken out. But bugs, like in terms of bugs, I gotta say, Alpha was solid. Like it was just like Beta. Beta was solid. I didn't crash at all in Beta. I didn't crash at all at Alpha. I can't really distinctly remember if there was any bad, like game-breaking bugs in Alpha.
We're also talking about the fact that Alpha and Beta were leagues apart technically, because Alpha was still very close to Battlefield 4, and that was one of the big critiques. And why they held off and why we actually got the beta is because they were like, all right, guys, we're not going to release this game. We're going to push it back. We're going to redo this. We're going to get it right this time. And then we got beta, and beta was beautiful.
That and the community was pretty furious that the fact of the matter was they were trying to release another game when Battlefield 4 was as broken as it was.
This is also true. Battlefield 4 had not been sorted out, and they were just talking about putting a brand new game out that was the same thing, just broke as...
I completely agree with your points, but there was definitely another underlying feature that the headline of everything. There was definitely some forum explosion when that kind of came out or was publicly released.
Well, yeah, and I also know the whole entire war about how it's just Battlefield 4 reskinned when it was alpha. I mean, I do remember it. I was following it back then. I wasn't able to play it, but I did follow it. And I remember people were furious. Just page after page in the forum, just rage.
You know, when we get down to it and people say this is just Battlefield 4 reskin, do they mean the physical graphics? Do they mean the types of weaponry? Do they mean, you know, the level designs? Because if you really think about it, I know we're going to get some hate on this, but God forbid I mention Call of Duty.
Well, yeah, we might get some hate for that, but I'm not worried about that.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, FPS, in my humble opinion, it can change scenarios, it can change game modes, but the core features of it only change so much.
No, I completely agree, because people rave about how the Battlefield is always taking it to the next level. Guys, Conquest was in the very first Battlefield. We've been playing Conquest since the beginning. We didn't get Rush until Bad Company. We didn't get Chain Link until Dragon's Teeth. We haven't got all the new stuff that's in Hardline until Hardline. I mean, yeah, we got new game modes, but there's Conquest in Hardline. We didn't change that much. As far as that goes, I think that the thing that they were screaming the most about this reskinning in Alpha was just because we still had all the same gadgets. We still had all the same guns. All the classes were the same. They just had new names.
That I can understand, and I can see why people would be as upset as they were. I was certainly upset when I was like, cops and I say cops and robbers, but it's cops and criminals. You know, and I'm like, this game's still broke. And mind you, I spent, you know, we didn't have a package deal when Battlefield 4 came out. We had to buy premium separately.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was, even with Digital Deluxe, you know, you got your first DLC, I believe it was China Rising.
Yeah, let's not go that far, especially with China Rising. That shit.
No, you got that with Digital Deluxe. That was part of the package.
Oh, you got a DLC. See, I didn't even pay attention to it when I got Battlefield 4. I was just like,
yeah, I don't think anybody really paid attention to the fact that they got a DLC with purchasing Digital Deluxe.
No, they just logged in and saw that netcode and went, the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, and unfortunately to my knowledge and what we've heard, that really hurt the competitive community of Battlefield because of the launch. It was just like, whoa, like this is unbearable, the netcode. Like, you'd shoot a guy with an LMG, and he'd still laugh and smile at you and shoot you in the face.
Oh, yeah, no. But I think that because they held back, and we had the beta, and it proved that the game is stable, that competitive mode is coming. I think that there's even going to be, outside of Hardline, competitive play, competitive tournaments. I don't know for sure, but I have heard that there are some of the competitive people that originally did in Battlefield 3 are looking at Hardline, and they're thinking about maybe having even a blood money version of competitive where it's, 12 on 12 blood money.
I think it would be perfectly functionable with 5v5.
Well, you could do 5v5. I'm just throwing the number out because I think that's what I remember. I just swear I saw somebody talking about it. That they were really thinking that they might even branch out and do some of the regular competitive, not just staying focused on just Battlefield Hardline's premium competitive stuff. And I like that because I like competitive stuff. I never really played it all that much, but I've contemplated getting into it. And I think that blood money, whether it's competitive or not, I'm going to play that thing so much. It looks so much fun. I really regret not getting into the alpha so that I could play it. I also wish it was in beta so I could have played it, but
I also wish they're not. I mean, maybe they'll change it up, but, as it stands right now, certain things are limited to premium with competitive play in mind, I don't think you should do specific things like that because, in my opinion, it limits your player base.
It does. I know we went over this, and I'm just going to go ahead and on March 11th, there was a post on Twitter addressing this exact issue because a lot of people were screaming and angry and raging on forums. And even I was kind of like, hey guys, what are you doing? Why would you shoot yourself in the foot by locking it to premium? But there was a post March 11th that says premium members get first dibs on these tournaments. And there are tournaments only for premium members, but they are going to make tournaments where regular people can get in. Non-premium members will be able to get in some of these tournaments.
It's so messed up that we say regular people. I mean, they're just saying...
It sounds really bad.
It sounds bad. It sounds bad. Like, it's like, oh, we're premium and we're up here. I mean, yes, they have premium for... I think what they're trying to do is make premium more exclusive. And if they can't do that via weaponry or skins... Truthfully, I think they should do it through skins, but that's my opinion. They're going to do it through different features so that the incentives are greater to buy a premium membership, which they kind of should be. I mean, I'm trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to see both sides of the coin.
I agree with this, but I can also... I've been watching the tweet, I've been reading all the information on it, keeping up to date on it. Having it locked to premium also helps deal with hackers and aimbot people and all of that jumping in and ruin your competitive nature. No one's going to spend the extra money on premium just so they can go ruin somebody's day in a competitive match because they turned their aimbot on.
Oh, yeah, that is true. But then you still get people who get in there that are competitive and maybe using cheats.
Yes, but we're relying on the fact that Fair Fight will take care of. And I don't know that they're going to... Why would you risk your premium account? It costs so much money to buy premium. Why would you risk that? Is the devil's advocate side that I agree with. I think that it will help keep that out. So I'm not 100% with it. I think that yes, you could have some premium only tournaments, but you shouldn't lock 95% of the content behind a premium wall. So
I agree with that. That makes sense. So I think we're going to wrap things up here, guys. Again, my name is THB, and I'd like to thank Anzen for contributing to the podcast. If you'd like the conversation or just want to contribute your 2 cents about specific subjects, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. We'll be taking a brief break next Thursday as we dig deep into the Battlefield Hardline multiplayer and single player. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast and continue to listen to us as the first season goes on. We will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.